Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. In this video I'll be checking out a god tier sorcerer unique, or perhaps it's not a god tier. Let's see how it is. The Esen, which changes your charge bolts into a completely different ability. One of the biggest downsides of the charge bolts is that it's single target damage, but this unique staff actually changes it so that it deals AoE damage by piercing and then also getting some reduced damage for that great passive you're getting. So let's see, is it good, is it bad? Let's see the strengths and weaknesses, or if it's any good to use. The first strength it does, it deals AoE damage. This is the reason why you take it, this is the reason why it's good. The piercing bolts do AoE damage, everyone just gets penetrated by them and just goes on hitting all of the adds, doing a lot more damage. Then the second one is that it actually returns a lot of your resources. It has one of the stats on it is that it will return resources based on your lucky hit chance. Well, it's a 5% chance, but you'll be hitting so many enemies with like a 20% proc chance that it will just proc all the time. And you can see it in the video right now, my mana will just go down and then instantly go back up again. This paired with the legendary Paragon point, where you can Paragon node, when you can actually get 10 mana back every time you stun a close range enemy. Your mana will just be going from 0 to 100 real quick. Then the third one is one of the ones which makes it so good, is that it has a lot of synergy, because your charge bolts will actually, if someone gets hit by 3 or more of your charge bolts, then they will kind of explode in damage. Well, if you're doing this in a very small area and you're spamming charge bolts, this will happen quite a lot of times, which will make a nice synergy. Also, you'll be hitting enemies quite a lot of time with quite a good lucky hit chance, 20%. Which means that you'll be able to stun them, which will also kind of proc your other abilities, which will then in turn proc your other abilities, which is especially with this build, a kind of stun build, which I've linked in the video description below. Then you can get the full details on this build, but for this comparison I won't be going too much in the details of the build, just for the staff and for the other one, because people had some questions last time on why I didn't get this unique in the build. Well, this time I got the comparison video for you guys. Well, then the fourth and one of the most important benefits or strengths of this staff is actually that it's satisfying, it's fun. The boom that you get from getting, look at this, the multiple enemies just hitting it, all the charge bolts hitting it, and the multiple booms. It's very satisfying to see many enemies just get obliterated by this, and with lightning damage. It's really the essence of what a lightning mage is about, you know. You just do a lot of lightning stuff, a lot of kadoom kadoom. It's nice, it's very satisfying. I would say this is a very big plus, because it's not the most optimal of builds, but the satisfaction really makes it worth playing. So let's look at the weaknesses as to why it's not the most optimal one. Well, the first one, and it's a big glaring weaknesses with uniques in general, is there's no rerolls. There are 4 stats on it and you cannot get anything else. There's a range of how much you can get the stat, of course, but the chances of you getting a perfect stat, a unique, and this is perfect stat, it will mean every stat has the max roll, is already abysmal. It's so low, so you're gonna get at least one stat that's like suboptimal. So you're just missing that. I want that vulnerable damage, I want that critical strike damage, you know. Those are big damages that will really change your build and do massive damage, but this unique just doesn't have it. It does have the lightning damage, which is great, because you already get like a 25% reduction if you're lucky. Otherwise it's like 35% on your charged bolts, which is insane. And then luckily with your 25% increased lightning damage, you can get some of that back, but you know. The other glaring weakness is that it has no aspect. So it's unique, of course, it gets a good passive that reduces your charged bolt damage. So this, and also taking in your aspect slot, these are both just gripes on the uniques in general, but you get something in return. Of course, it's better than an aspect, I would say, but it's in turn for an aspect. And I have this staff, the big stick I call it, and it has 50% damage, just 50% multiplicable damage if I have a barrier active. Which with this build, as you can see right now, you can see a barrier. Every time I use a cooldown, I get a barrier. I have the ice barrier, which also gives a barrier for 5 seconds, and just the cooldowns are constantly up. You can see this barrier almost never goes down. As I say it goes down, but almost every time I cast a charge bolt, the barrier is up. So that means 50% multiplicative damage on there. And I'm missing that out for this unique passive. So it has to be really good for me to miss that out. And I just don't think it is. I'll show some gameplay where I'm just fighting the boss, or no, I'm not fighting. Yeah, sure, I'll show the gameplay of fighting the boss as well, but compared to this, compared to the normal stick, it's not the same. This is very sad. Look at this. Look, this is just kadoom, kadoom, kadoom. Great, all good. But as soon as you get into, look at this. This is painful to watch now. It's taking too long. It's the single target damage on this target, even when it's vulnerable, it just doesn't do the same thing as the charged bolts in the other type of build. I will show after this. I've got some gameplay of a charged bolt with the big stick, where it actually has like critical hit damage. I think it also has intelligence and core skill damage, which is such a big difference between this staff and other staff. Which is one of the third and the biggest weaknesses is a single target damage. Funny how one of the positives, AoE damage, now becomes a negative, because the damage reduction, for a boss, you don't gain any benefit from it being AoE. You only gain the downside of getting that 25% reduced damage. And with this, bosses will take 25% more time, which is quite painful. But you do get the resource return, so it's probably not 25%, but you get the point. It's just downside from this. And then the glaring downside of not being able to reroll your stats or getting the stats that you want is very painful. So this is where I would say the regular staff is better for bosses and elites. But then the thing becomes, when are you not killing bosses and elites? Diablo is about killing bosses and elites. It's not about killing ads. Of course, that's satisfying and also like filler. But the most important part, how do you progress in the dungeon? How do you get further? It is killing the elites and bosses. Then you clear the dungeon, or then you can get the necessary items to clear the dungeon. It's just worse than getting... Look at this. Look. These elites have 30% barrier, and you will see that the way I clear this, the way I clear this dungeon as opposed to the other dungeon, all of the elite packs which I face will just go a lot quicker. Especially these kind of bozos that have like the hour shield, you'll be clearing those quickly as well. With the piercing thing, it actually, it all just takes a little bit longer. Especially the bosses when they're vulnerable and when they're actually like, you can kill them. Look, this elite, I hit him 2 times with the charged bolts and he's dead. With the other ones, I can just keep spamming the charged bolts, which is kind of, yeah, which is why I'll give like a final verdict right now on it. I would say, let me give it, before I'm going to tease you a little bit, I'm going to say, just wait, I'm going to give you some of the weaknesses and of the strengths, and then I'll tell you when this item actually is better than the regular stuff with a big stick, as opposed to this unique item. Anyway, let's get to it. So some of the strengths: AoE damage, resource return, especially when you get the stuns and the lucky hit points. The stun from the legendary node, it's great. The third one, synergy, especially just with the ability stealth. And if it hits multiple enemies, it will gain more damage. Very satisfying. Which is the fourth strength. It is satisfying. It's fun. AoE damage, it's great. Especially if you're doing some lower level stuff, this is great. It doesn't become that much of a problem. The weaknesses though are that it's a unique, which means no rerolls and no aspect. Although you do get the great unique passive, not having aspect actually on your staff, which is 2 slots already, it's quite big. If this would be like an arm piece, it would be so much better, because then the glaring weakness of having your 2 times roll on an aspect is not that, it's not gone. I mean, just look at this. 3 charge bolts on this guy's back and he's done. I'm not saying. And then the third weakness, which is the biggest one, is that the single target damage is just lacking. I wouldn't be able to do that what you saw just now with the other build. I would just be taking so much longer, and it's just annoying. Just like this 2 enemies hitting me while I'm trying to get that barrier up. It's just annoying, and it's fun at the beginning, but then if you're just taking at least a minute just to kill a pack of elites because they're so tanky and you're not able to kill them, then it's not good. But all of these downsides aren't really that much of a problem if you're just doing things that are your level. I'm doing this, I think it's like 20 plus levels, level 94. I'm level 74. So I'm doing level 94 content. So for me, this is a problem and not having that damage. But if I would do content that was 74, Hell Tides for example, or just not pushing Nightmare Dungeons, then it would be fine. So it's all good, because then it doesn't really matter that I'm not doing the most optimal damage. Then fun is more important, and then it's going good. But pushing Nightmare Dungeons, this is not advisable. I would say for pushing Nightmare, especially up and if you want to go up and up and up. Funny, I dropped the staff, but I'm kind of shitting on the staff right now, saying that it's not optimal. And funny enough, I drop it in the video which I'm doing for the build. Very ironic it is. But I would say final verdict, only use this when you're doing Helltide or just your own level content. Or if you're lucky enough, you just get world tier 3 and then you drop this. Amazing. Wow. Use it. If you don't have a better staff, if you don't have the big stick like I do, use this item. This is a great item. But if you, as soon as you get like an item which has like 2 or 3 stats on it, you have vulnerable damage, critical hit damage, core skill damage, it's over. It's not gonna be better than that. And it's especially if you have like an aspect on it. My aspect is 50% increased damage, multiplicative. As soon as you have a barrier, as you see it, I always have a barrier up. Especially when you just do a cooldown, you get a barrier, you deal more damage. That's the whole build, and it's such a shame when that component lacks from the build. Maybe if I did it on like an amulet or like somewhere else, then I could still get that essence out of it, but then I would have to sacrifice another aspect. It's all just losses, and I can't justify these losses any longer. And especially on bosses, the big stick is just so much better. You'll see how much faster this one clears. Especially look at this pack of elites. Their elites just keep coming and they keep going straight to hell. I'm just sending them all the way to Lilith, 6 feet under, no worries about it. I mean, especially when they're vulnerable. This one, of course, when they're unstoppable like this, yeah, they take a little bit longer. You might need to wait for your vulnerability to come cooldown again. They just die really quickly. It's so much better. Look at this. That one just went instantly. That one's dead too. Oh, they're vulnerable again. Even when I'm just casting my Arc Lash, it's still doing more damage than the AoE damage of the unique. So that's the final verdict. And I would say use it only for Helltides. I've been repeating this so many times. Use it only for Helltides who doing your own level content. It's more fun anyway, but it's not fun if you have to wait for things. Nobody likes that. If you want to do some to push some Nightmare Dungeons, really get into serious content, then I would say go for a big stick, go for a staff with some good stats on it. And you'll be able to get that much more consistent, because getting a good staff, ancestral staff, is not that difficult as to getting this unique, which is pure luck. Don't think your build will be inefficient because you couldn't get this unique item. You'll see this me clearing the boss. I just want to take a quick shout out to say thank you guys for watching. My channel has been doing amazing for the last few days. I've really enjoying making videos, although I'm a bit of the end of the lifespan of Diablo 4. I'm looking for other things to make builds on. I did still want to make a video of like the fire build, but the fire aspect, just to see if the burning damage with the bigger critical hits can be any good for this Charged Bolt build. But other than that, I'm playing a little bit of Druid as well. But I'm thinking of branching into some new games maybe. I'll see how it goes. But I would like to thank you for the video. If it helped, please like and subscribe. Just look at that boss. Half of his health, instantly dead when he became stunned, vulnerable thing. That's just, you're not gonna get that in another build. Then it was maybe 20%. Anyway, that was the build. I still gotta look. This is the big stick. This is the unique staff, and this is the rest of my build. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps. Comment if you have a build that does work with the staff, and I'll see you in the next video.